Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up with Tara Christie today, CEO at Banyan Gold. She talks to us about their project up in the Yukon and what they've been up to since we spoke to them last July, would you believe? It seems like drilling was the word of the day in 2020 and continues to be in 2021, 15,000 meters planned this year, with a view to upgrade their resource from the 900,000 ounces that it stands at today. Hopefully followed quickly by a PEA, but we discuss all of the above. If you want our thoughts on the conversation, the topics discussed, the company, and indeed Tara herself, you can find that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. We've got commentaries from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities. We've got training courses on there. We've got summaries of all the interviews that we've done just to save you some time, because we know you're busy people. But most importantly of all, we've got a wonderful, thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, friendly, safe environment, full of discussion, intelligent discussion at that, and certainly none of that nasty trolling, judgment, or abuse you find elsewhere. If that sounds nice to you and the environment that you want to do your investing, go and join them at cruxinvestor.com/club. And we'd love your feedback too. So give us a like, leave your comments below. If you want to see precisely what we talked about today, do take a look in the description below. Tara, how are you?
I'm really well. Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Yep.
Good to see you. So, when was it? July? That's a long time. Far too long. You've been busy though.
Absolutely. We're super busy. We had a great 2020. Banyan Gold is focused on our Ormac project up near Mayo, Yukon, right beside Victoria Gold. We put out that resource in May of last year of 900,000 ounces. Since then, we've drilled 10,000 meters and we're on track to drill another 15,000 meters in our first phase and already almost 6,000 meters into that today.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to hear all about it in a second, but I better start with some pleasantries. So how's life up in the Yukon? Have you been, able to sort of function with regards to the business, but also, socially, are you guys moving around a lot yet?
So Yukon's fared very well. Being a remote jurisdiction, it was deemed by the Canadian government that everybody should get vaccinated because the healthcare system is, and there's lots of remote First Nation communities. And I think they're over 80% have had their first shot and around 50% have had their second shot. Oh, wow. So fairly well immunized. There's one active case right now and no contacts exposure. So, their life there for people is a lot less restrictive than many places in the world. You could still have dinner and go to a restaurant. And for us, we've been very cautious. We started drilling in June of last year, put all the procedures in place, but we drilled all the way to December 15th. And then we started up again February 15th, and we're still going now. So, we've been very careful because we want to protect our crew. We want to make sure we're able to continue to do our program and also protect Yukon communities. So it's been great.
It's been a learning. It's been a real learning for all of us. I'm slightly jealous of the dinner element. We've got to sit outside at the moment. I think it's about 8 degrees. So we can't sit indoors yet and have dinner at a restaurant, but there we go. Hey, well, look, you kind of done the 1-minute summary component there, so let's get stuck into it. So we spoke last July. You have been busy. There's been lots going on. I just want to kind of break down some of the things which I've spotted, and if there's anything I missed, let me know. But let's deal with the Highland project, because at the time you said you had some options, you had some thoughts about what you were going to do with it. Have you moved that on, or have you conserved your dollars and parked it up? Where are you at?
We've really focused on Ormac. That resource was $2 an ounce in exploration cost. We think we can continue to deliver ounces there for under $10, but probably $5 to $6 per ounce. So that is huge value for our shareholders. We want to be efficient, use dollars well. And with COVID, staying focused on one project, keeping your people all in one place was the way to do that. We do plan to do a small program at Highland because, it's still a very exciting project at 0.85, an on-surface heap leach mineable project with 86% recoveries from oxide and, road accessible right near a community 70 kilometers away. I think that is going to be exciting, especially when we know Victoria Gold at 0.63 has been economic in the Yukon. So it's time's coming. We're going to tee it up for 2022 and really spend this year very focused on Ormac.
Right. Okay. So it's parked up for now. Has some value, but that value is to be determined at some future date. Is that fair enough?
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, we haven't spoken since last July, and if I'm looking at the share price, pretty much moved sideways. I think is fair to say. Doesn't seem to be much pace to the project. I mean, what have you been doing?
So in June to December of last year, we had one drill going continuously. Again, with COVID, we really wanted to limit the number of people that had exposure. So we had just one drill, 10,000 meters, really continuing to build on our geological model. And that's been such a big part of our success was, when we took the property over in 2017, between 2017 and 2019, we spent a lot of time relogging core, putting together our geological model, testing it, getting results. That's really paying off in spades for us now. The 2020 program, we've now extended the airstrip. So it was 1.2 kilometers. We've added another 300 meters and there were 774,000 ounces there. So we know we've added ounces there. And also to the south and the east, it remains open in both directions and at depth. We're not going to chase it to depth right now, partly because we are so excited about what we're finding at Powerline. That was a blind discovery based on our geological model. And if you look at Powerline on our maps, it's right beside another area called Oryx Hill, where we have a 10-kilometer squared gold and arsenic anomaly. And the work that we did last year, we've shown that soil anomaly, it also corresponds with some RAB drill holes that are about 40 meters deep from historic drilling, where, on average, there's a huge percentage of them that are over 0.2, and many areas where the whole part of the hill is over 0.4, over that 40 meters. So not just a soil anomaly, but the top 40 meters, we have these drill holes to help us target it. So we went out and drilled there last year, and putting a road in from Powerline to Oryx Hill. So now we have mineralization over 2.5 kilometers. Normally when you drill along a road that you put in as an exploration road, you expect maybe 20%. Every single hole hit anomalous mineralization. That far exceeded our expectations. We know at Powerline itself, it's a horizontal, how it's modeled, and we know it's open in all directions and at depth, and it's pretty exciting. We found numerous holes with 20 meters of 1 gram, 40 meters of 1 gram, and then the most recent 41 meters of 1.36 right from surface. So and big long intersections again, 122 meters of 0.7. That adds a lot of ounces. So we set out this year based on that geological model and knowledge, starting in mid-February, which you think of the Yukon and you think of cold. Well, we have fabulous infrastructure, and we've done the work to get ourselves set up for that. And actually, you do less environmental disturbance if you drill when it's still snowy and frozen on the ground. So, here we are, and it's May 4th, and we're already almost 6,000 meters into our drill program, well ahead of our counterparts in the area. So exciting. Our geological model is definitely a big key to our success. And, the 15,000 meters that we're going to drill this year, we think is going to set us up for the next phase.
Well, let's talk about that, because we did talk last time about the geological model and your sort of confidence around it. And, no dusters, that's really good. Mineralization, not anomalies, mineralization, that's nice. But to what end, okay? Because, people are going to be, the next sets of questions that are going to be thrown at you is, right, updated resource. When's the PEA coming? How do you define the moment to go on all of the above? So have you set yourself a number in mind for the upgraded resource number?
So I think that a critical number in the Yukon for something to be economic is 2 million ounces. And so that is what we want when we do our next update. We want it to be right in that neck of the woods.
Why?
So
tell me why. Why is that the number? Why is 2 million the number? Why not 3? Why not 2.5?
Well, I think when you look at the economics and use Victoria Gold as an example, that's what they had in reserves when they did their feasibility study. They permitted, they financed and built it. So I think that gives you enough mine life for an open pit heap leach mineable project. Having the blue sky exploration potential beyond that is great. But I think once you have that number, you can start to do things like a PEA and start to move it forward. We're pretty confident that we're going to get that this year, by the fall, if not sooner. But, we want to make sure that we actually get there before we do that. But we're doing all the work to start to get ready for a PEA. We've started our baseline environmental work, water quality work, which would be needed for permitting the project. What we're seeing is really quite exciting. So, investors can expect that we're going to have news flow every couple of weeks. We've already got our first results back from 2021. Lab turnaround time is much better. And then once we update that resource, then we start to initiate the PEA. That'd really be the next phase.
Okay, that's interesting. So potentially the fall for updated resource. The PEA, in terms of process up there, given some of the things you're putting in place now, like the EIA activity, how long does that take?
Well, how long it takes often is how much you want to spend on it. You can do things very quickly often. We have a lot of resources because we have a directly comparable project right down the road. And that's very modern, started the construction in 2018 and just completed. So there'll be a lot of fairly up-to-date cost information that could be used in parallel to what we have. We look very similar, same age of mineralization, likely the same low strip ratio, open pit heap leach mineable project. We have all the fabulous infrastructure, which actually gives us an advantage over where Victoria Gold was. And you probably noticed the Yukon government's committed to actually fix the road and put $63 million, probably starting next year, into the highway from Mayo to service Alexco, Victoria Gold, and us. And it's great having two mines as neighbors. And they just upgraded the power line. It's twice the capacity now, goes right across our property. And they're taking down the old one, but it was just energized in January. So that's a great feature. And even having cell phone service on our property, that all will reduce the long-term capital cost. And that'll all help in a PEA when that time comes around.
For sure. It was all very exciting, but remind me again, what you set out to achieve, because we'll put the link to the business plan as you stated last year, but Victoria Gold are over 8% shareholder here. They're around the corner. That's the parallels that you're drawing here all the time. And what's the end game for you again? Remind me.
Well, the easy option would be for one of my three mine builder shareholders, either Victoria Gold, Alexco, or Cisco Development. They all know the value of open pit heap leach mining project. But that's why that 2 million number, I think, is so important, because that's what really makes this a standalone project, not just an add-on to one of those companies. And that's really where we're going to get value for shareholders. And I'm a big shareholder. If you look back in the financings last year, I put in, twice my salary into the financings because that's how confident I am in what we have in the model. Not very many other CEOs can say they've done that in a single year. So I think we're really well positioned for 2021. And I'm not a gambler, so I'm looking at our model, looking at our team, the geology, and basing my investment on that.
Right. Yeah. Now I remember that there was over 6% of the company at the time. You've raised a little bit of money, so just on the money side of things, actually, you've raised a little bit more money since we spoke, another 2.5 million. Are you good for cash at the moment?
We are, yeah. So we started the year with 5.8 million. We've allocated 4.5 for exploration, and we're already well into that program this year for that 15,000 meters. So that'll leave us a little bit of cash left to either increase our exploration program or cover all our G&A well into next year and still have a little bit for exploration and a little bit for Highland. So, we raised that money at Christmas, or right between Christmas and New Year's, at 28 cents and 32.5. So, considerably higher than our current share price. Yeah.
Well, again, I want to come back to that, because it's like you've been setting the scene. You've been laying down the groundwork. I totally get that, and you've got the cash to be able to deliver 15,000 meters this year, which is good news. But you haven't been talking to the market much. Right? You've been like, I don't know, waiting for I don't know what. But now, what does it look like for you going forward? Because I don't want to be one of those companies where you're putting a drill result every 2 weeks, because it's like, give me some view, some sense of what that means in terms of your strategy for delivering the end game here for you. Are we going to see more of you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been a little bit quiet, and I think a lot of mining companies have been quiet for a little bit in the market. The retail market just hasn't been there to really justify spending huge amounts of dollars marketing. We also wanted to come back with results. We put out that fabulous press release this week on our metallurgy. 90% leachable gold from oxide and sulfide. That's fabulous. There's no difference between it. The gold is actually likely free gold. That really will make a difference. Victoria Gold's life of mine recovery is 74%. So 90 and 89% are pretty. That well exceeded our expectations. And I'm a little surprised the market, hasn't picked up on that, but I do think I have to get out and tell people about it and show them the geological potential. We're going to be, making sure that our drill results are available so people can start to look at what We have themselves. We're going to update the 3D models on our website so people can see how significantly both airstrip and power line have grown and are growing. It's actually a pretty incredible story. We were talking with the guys who did the metallurgy, and they were actually really surprised that this was some of the best leaching material that they had come across, and they're heap leach experts. So I put pretty high credibility into that.
Oh no, the recovery rates are exceptional. There's no doubt about that one. But there was not a flicker in the market with regards to that story. Do you think you need to have a think about how you tell a low-grade story in the marketplace? Because there are there's the Equinoxes of this world, and they've been buying companies left, right, and center, and they get some attention, but the names associated with that are quite powerful individuals, right? The stories which did well last year and even the beginning of this year are the ones with the the high grade headlines, not necessarily good companies or good assets that matter, but they got the attention, right? And that was in the storytelling, the narrative, the promotion, the momentum in the market generally for gold. So have you prepared yourself for telling this story, a bulk story in the Yukon, to try and stand out, try and get noticed? What are you going to say?
Absolutely. And, that's talking to you is part of the start of that. We do have a strategy here to get out and tell the story and to story to some key people, because that is part of it, is really getting, like, we've got our first institutions into Banyan. There are some key people that I think are starting to take notice of Banyan, and that's absolutely what I think the next phase is for us. So you'll definitely see more of us and getting the story out and just really, if you look at last year when we put out the resource, it was a little quiet for a little bit until we really put the gas on, talking to the right people, not just marketing, because we're pretty careful in how we spend our marketing dollars and very strategic. So absolutely, we have a very well developed strategy. We're going to get out and execute it here over the next few months, and that'll be really helped with ongoing drill results every 2 to 3 weeks. That metallurgy sets the stage for us very well. And as Victoria Gold gains momentum and continues to put out good news, that also helps us, along with our other cheerleader and neighbor, Alexico. Certainly lots of news to come from us.
Yeah, I think there's some good names associated with it, for sure, and there's some good optionality as a result of that further down the line potentially. But I'm just thinking about the way that you come to market, because the resource is the next big meaningful thing. The drill results will come, and people will expect more of the same. You're hitting mineralization with every hole. It'll be more of the same. It's a question of, getting a view on how much metal there is in the ground, right? That's the job you're going to do. Are you tempted at all to rush to market with a lower than 2 million ounce resource upgrade, just to give people a sense of something's happening, and then maybe an update later on at a future date? Just in terms of like the way that some companies, play the market. They've got to talk to the market a certain way. You've gone about doing it the right way, geologically and robust and planning and setting the scene. But there's also you've got to be cute with the market, don't you?
Well, we want to stay credible. We believe we've got the real thing. We're focused on our geology, doing it right. So, if we think that there's value in updating the resource before we reach 2 million ounces, we'll consider it. I think we're stepping out on 100 meter spacing grid. That's pretty big spacing when you look at how consistent the mineralization is and, run the numbers on it. How much drilling do you think we're going to need to get to 2 million ounces? Well, I think we're going to get pretty close just with what we've got planned now. So, hang on, be a little patient. We've delivered on what we said we were going to do before, and we're going to do that again. Now, I'm more confident now that we're going to deliver on it than I was, even before Christmas.
Okay, I think that's all we can ask. If you keep doing what you say you're going to do, I'm good with that. I am looking to this 2 million ounce number though, because I think that's the point at which big decisions get made as to how you play this. If you go back to market and raise more money at the size of that raise, that would be interesting to me. But look, for now, Tara, Thank you very much for coming back on. It was way too long. I hope to see you a lot sooner than this next time. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. And I'll be back because we've got a great story to tell. So expect to hear from me soon.